And another step toward historic change between the U.S. and Cuba. Commercial air travel resuming this morning after more than a half a century.
That plane touching down in the town of Santa Clara around 11 this morning. This, the first of many to come in the future.
And Local 10 News reporter Hatzel Vela was one of those lucky few on board the inaugural flight today. He joins us right now live from Santa Clara with more on what this flight really means to the futures of U.S. and Cuba. And we were both kind of surprised to see so many children, even a baby, getting off that plane.
Yeah, Christy and Janice, you saw all sorts of people for different reasons coming here to Santa Clara for the first time. Let's give you a live look here. Behind me, you can see some of the passengers now arriving here at Abel Santa Maria. That's the name of the airport here in Santa Clara. We're talking about 150 passengers on board. 65 of them, we're told, were regular passengers. The rest were members of the press and folks who worked for JetBlue. We understand most of them were of Cuban heritage. Here's some video as we're landing for the first time at around 10:56 this morning, a historic flight coming into Santa Clara. Listen, you can see and hear the applause, folks, excited for many different reasons. Obviously, if you're in the aviation industry, because of the historic nature of it, and for Cuban Americans also, obviously, because of the connection that they have here to Cuba. The flight lasted about an hour, again, landed at 10:56. But let's go and take you to what happened before, because we took off at around 9:50 this morning, a little delayed, just a couple minutes. But that's because of the boarding process took quite some time because of the excitement that's attached to this flight. We're talking about an Airbus A320 flight 387 that took off again like at around 9:56, 9:55, and we saw the big salute, the water cannons greeting us or sending us off as the plane was getting ready to take off. And we saw the same thing as we landed here in Santa Clara, water cannons from old fire trucks here in Santa Clara doing the same thing, and it was quite emotional for a lot of people. The woman I was sitting next to, her name is Yara, first-generation Cuban American who lives in Orlando, was on the flight, works for JetBlue, says her family is actually from here, and it's a first for her, says a first of many. Listen to what she said.
It is a dream come true. It feels like a miracle. It's something you never expected, and you're doing it. This is so monumental. It's peace between two countries that have been so apart for such a long time. And it says, you're here. We're breaking those invisible barriers. It's over.
All right, just one of the many passengers on board that flight. Also on that flight, Secretary of Transportation, Mr. Fox, was one of the first to arrive here in Santa Clara. Then he went straight on a different plane, a U.S. plane that is headed to Havana, where we understand he will be meeting with Cuban officials and likely will be finalizing the trips, the flights to Havana. Remember, they did choose certain airlines and certain flights to come to Havana, but nothing had been finalized up until this point, so we should be getting a final approval later this afternoon. For now, reporting live in Santa Clara, Cuba, Hatzel Vela, Local 10 News.
And Hatzel, we were talking about that this is actually the first live local broadcast in Santa Clara. Obviously, you've reported live before in Havana, but this is the first live local broadcast in Santa Clara.
Well, listen, we've done many first, right? We were first live inside the embassy when that opened. You remember my colleague Calvin Hughes was there early that morning. We were also the first to go live from different smaller cities when we first took that cruise, that first cruise that left Miami. And now for the first time, live pictures, a live report here from Santa Clara. We have visited before, remember our Cuba Coast to Coast coverage, where we came through Santa Clara and showed you some of the sights and sound, but now we'll be able to come back and give you more stories about the life, the places, and the people who live here.
And we look forward to seeing you then later on this afternoon. Thanks so much, Hatzel Vela, with another first historic day. We're going to take a quick